January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. And did you know that over 14,000 women in the United States are diagnosed with invasive cervical cancer each year? So here to talk with me today about cancer prevention and vaccination options is Staci Kaczmarek. She is a registered nurse and clinical manager at SuperShot. And Victoria Grabowski. She is a cervical cancer survivor. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me and chatting about this very important subject that I think all women should be made aware of. And if they're not made aware of, then at least be reminded of, okay? So start off by sharing with me, Staci, what is cervical cancer, to those who don't know?
Absolutely. Cervical cancer is any cancer that affects the tissues of the cervix. And like you said, it affects about 14,000 women every year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and with this particular cancer, I know that it really affects women, but what do you think is the primary cause of it?
Yeah, so that's what we're really passionate about at SuperShot, is that 9 out of 10 cases of cervical cancer are actually caused by the HPV virus. This is a virus that's been identified and is well known and is also preventable. So there's a vaccine available that protects against 9 different strains of HPV. So when we talk about those numbers, when it comes to cervical cancer, many of those cases can be prevented by being vaccinated.
Okay, and so there's a lot of, I'm not going to say confusion around the subject, but there may be a lot of misperception about how one can get it and really what's the root of it. Was it preventable? Was it not? So can you go a little bit deeper about how one can get this particular cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. So HPV is spread by skin-to-skin contact, and that can mean certain things, but it doesn't have to. It can be spread through any kind of skin-to-skin contact. The vaccine, when it first came out, was really marketed towards young women, but it actually is available for both men and women starting at age 11.
Wow.
We've learned a lot about vaccines as a community through COVID, and one thing we know is that getting vaccinated not only protects yourself but protects those around you and those in your community. And that's why it's so important for women and men to get vaccinated against HPV, because you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting those around you as well.
Okay, so directly, if men get vaccinated for this, it's not that they can gain that type of cancer or they can get HPV, is that correct?
They can get HPV and they can spread HPV. They're not going to get cervical cancer, but they are still, this month is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, so that's what we're talking about. But they're still susceptible to things like oropharyngeal cancers, so that's head, neck, and throat cancers as well. HPV is a factor in those as well. And so they are protecting themselves against HPV, which can lead to other kinds of cancers.
Wow, wow. That's so interesting. And so share with me, Victoria, your story. I know that it was a very interesting one because you were actually diagnosed. So kind of walk us through your journey.
Okay. I was diagnosed when I was in my early 30s, and it was through a pap smear. And by the time that they caught it in a pap smear, it was pretty significant. And so they did a biopsy. And usually during biopsies, they say, if we catch it early enough, we can get it all out.
Right.
It didn't work. So then I had to have another surgery, and they went deeper. Still didn't get a clean margin, so they went in for a third time. Still didn't get a clean margin, and basically took out most of my cervix by that point.
Oh, wow.
And so their recommendation was, it's time for a hysterectomy. It's the only way to truly get rid of this cancer, and you'll be cancer-free. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was dating my husband now, who's a physician in Philadelphia, he got me to the best gyn-onc in Philadelphia and got all my records sent over there. And so I had to have a fourth and final surgery where I had clean margins, and he protected my fertility. Didn't have to have a hysterectomy. Wow. 25 years later, I have 2 beautiful kids, and my husband and I are living in Fort Wayne.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so powerful because it's such a scary thing, I'm sure, that you went through at that moment when you learned about it. And of course, you want all the options and you want to do anything you can to remove it. But just that little turn in the story could have just, I mean, it could have changed everything had you went through with the surgery. And so what do you think is the biggest message there? Just to keep looking for options, getting multiple opinions? What do you think you took from that?
The thing that I took from it then was I was very fortunate to have an advocate for me, because I was listening to really good doctors, and after having 3 unsuccessful surgeries, I was kind of feeling a little defeated. But, you know, again, it was my advocate that made me go further. And the thing that I look towards it now is that this cancer is preventable. And so both of my kids, I have an 18-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter, they both got the vaccination just because it is preventable. A lot of this, to be able to be in a position now where I can advocate saying, this is something that we can do. We can get the vaccination, we can stop the spread, we can really make a difference in the communities where people don't realize this is very silent. You don't really have symptoms for a long time. By the time symptoms show up, you're pretty far along.
Right, right. How incredible. And just your strength to go through that many surgeries and keep going and keep fighting for your health is just so powerful. So congratulations to you in being a survivor. So Staci, share with me just about the age range that this disease really can affect.
Yeah, absolutely. We see this most often in 20 and 30-year-old women. And so a lot of times they're in a stage of life where they're no longer receiving routine vaccinations. And so that's one of the reasons why the recommendation for the HPV vaccine starts at an age where you're already getting other vaccinations as well. It's a 2-dose series if it started before age 15, so they start recommending it at age 11. If you receive it after 15, or even if you are older now and you'd like to get that protection against HPV, it's available all the way up to age 45 now as well. So both women and men anywhere from age 11 to 45 are eligible to receive that vaccine series.
11 to 45, wow. Okay, and what is the frequency of this vaccine? So how often do you need to get it? Yeah,
absolutely. It is actually, once you've completed the initial series, you are considered protected. And
for just that span?
Yes. Like I said, for those less than 15, it's a 2-dose series. They get 1 dose, and then 6 months later, they'll get a 2nd dose, and they're protected. If you are older than 15 and wanting to get your HPV vaccine, it'll be a 3-dose series, but we can still get you fully vaccinated within a 7-month period.
Oh, wow. Okay, and then you're done.
Then you're done. Absolutely.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yep, and you've done your part to prevent the spread of HPV in your own community.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then Super Shot is a business, a facility that people can go and actually get this vaccine. So will you share more about this organization?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a local nonprofit, and we try to fill the gap between when it comes to needing to get vaccinations, but maybe not necessarily having a primary care provider, or maybe a primary care provider that doesn't offer state vaccines. So we're able to see patients who are on state insurance as well as those that are on commercial insurance, and adults as well. We have been around for about 30 years this year, serving the community in Fort Wayne. And with that, we started off seeing just children, but we've been able to expand, especially over with COVID vaccines and things like that. We see adults, like I said, we see those with commercial insurance as well as those with state insurance. And we're open now 5 days a week. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay, and like you said, you offer a variety of vaccinations, so people can come in and kind of get exactly what they need.
Absolutely. We like to be the vaccine experts. So if you come in, whether an adult or a child, we can review your record as well and see if there's any vaccines that you're needing.
Okay, wonderful. Staci, thank you so much for the information. Victoria, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Prevention is better than any cure. So ladies, let's take care of ourselves and get screened. We'll have more information listed below, and we'll be right back.